a dangerous precedent to unleash a war, lose it, lose territory, then with the help of mediators, with a Gnesh stop the war marked indefinitely, call those you attacked the aggressors, demand the political annulment of the outcome of the war, take a 26 years time out, and then start with the same point, having already gathered strength declaring that they attacked you? This is what Azerbaijan did, which suffered a defeat in the war against Nagorno-Karabakh in the early 90s. The same Karabakh, the territory of which, with the rights of autonomy, was transferred to Azerbaijan by Stalin's easy hand, in which, even before the collapse of the USSR, exercised its legal right of self-determination through a referendum. Does this mean that the mediated negotiations turned out to be a trap? Maybe they were a trap. On the beginning of the Karabakh conflict, Putin said in Valdai, quote, "This conflict has begun not just as an interstate conflict and a struggle for territories. It has begun with ethnic confrontation. It is also, unfortunately, a fact when in Sumgait and then in Nagorno-Karabakh, cruel crimes were committed against the Armenian people." Putin is right. This is a fight against violence against Armenians and for their right to live in their historical land. So the war of the 90s was put on hold. Let us recall a quote from the memoirs of the head of the mediating mission of Russia of these years, the plenipotentiary of the president of the Russian Federation for Nagorno-Karabakh, the participant and co-chair of the OSCE Minsk Group from Russia, Ambassador Vladimir Kazimierov. Azerbaijan went to a ceasefire in May 1994, not at all for the sake of fulfilling the UN Security Council resolutions, which in this part he stubbornly ignored for more than a year, but as a result of a series of military failures that put its leadership on the brink of complete defeat and loss of power. The victorious side, Karabakh, agreed to negotiations. The only thing the Armenians were striving for was the opportunity to live in a safety on their territory. Territories in exchange for status, they said, referring to the areas adjacent to the Nagorno-Karabakh. Territories in exchange for peace, Baku demanded, all the time threatening with a war. The negotiations have been going on for 26 years. For 26 years, Armenia refrained from recognizing the independence of Nagorno-Karabakh in order not to disrupt the peace negotiations on a settlement. As for today, again the war. Blood is pouring again. Turkey guaranteed Aliyev a victory. Armed to the teeth, reinforced with mercenary militants, special forces, command personnel and their military instructors. It really needs the territory of Armenians and Azerbaijan itself. The issue of Artsakh itself is episodic for Turkey. This is so, a small obstacle in the way of big victories. On the example of Ganja, one can see how the people of Azerbaijan are exploited for the sake of political provocations. On October 26, in a video message to his people, Aliyev finally admitted that there are Turkish F-16 military aircraft in his country, which are ready to take off as soon as necessary. However, he did not say that these Turkish fighters are on the standby at the Ganja International Airport, a city from which no civilians have been evacuated. Even after the photos of the Ganja airport with 2 Turkish fighters were already flying around the world on October 3rd. Baku aimed the fire at Ganja. On October 4th was the first shelling of the airport. In fact, the shelling of Ganja as stated by Baku. Likewise, the demands of 4 UN resolutions on ceasefire, Baku is crushing 3 agreements on a humanitarian ceasefire on the advice of Turkey. Both there and here, it goes for a big breakthrough. The first arrangement is an attempt to take Hadrut. The second is an attack in the Khudoferin direction. The third, here it is interesting, at night a powerful attack, a major seizure of positions, and in order to prevent a counter-offensive by the Armenian forces, and in the morning a humanitarian ceasefire. so that they have enough time. And Erdogan provides insurance. With two of the three co-chairs of the Minsk group, France and the United States, he goes into an open confrontation. Macron is twice advised to treat the psyche, and he throws into the United States' face that they do not know who they are dealing with. We are not a tribal state, we are Turkey, Erdogan announced. A couple of days ago, the US Embassy in Azerbaijan warned its citizens and other foreigners about the threat of terrorism attacks in Baku, including hotels. The US Embassy in Baku has received credible reports on potential terrorist attacks and abductions targeting US citizens and foreigners in Baku, the diplomatic mission said in a press release. But Erdogan does not behave like that with Russia. Moreover, he publicly quarrels with the same America, saying that his country would not succumb to the language of US threats, demanding that Ankara abandon the Russian S-400 air defense systems. Yes, and Putin said in the same Valdai that it is reliable to work with Erdogan and that he is not afraid of difficulties with Turkey. And Russia, as you know, is a strategic ally for Armenia, which itself is a guarantor of Nagorno-Karabakh. Erdogan, of course, figured everything out long ago. But Putin is not simple either. We think he is not simple. Puddles are everywhere. The Karabakh conflict began with a crime against the Armenian people, Putin said in Valdai, but also noted. At the same time, we understand that such a situation in which a significant part of Azerbaijan's territory was lost by the country cannot continue forever. So what about those territories Baku is talking about? The Armenians, who were full-fledged citizens of the Azerbaijan SSR, fleeing ethnic cleansing at the hands of Azerbaijanis from Baku, Sumgait, Ganja, Shahumyan, Banats, as well as other settlements of various regions of Azerbaijan, moved to the areas uncontrolled by the Baku authorities around Nagorno-Karabakh and to Nagorno-Karabakh itself. These are the people Aliyev is bombing today. And tomorrow, what will he do with them if these territories return under his control? We have already seen this in Sumgait and Baku. We see it now. The recognition of the independence of the Nagorno-Karabakh Republic is perhaps the only solution to this issue. The people of Artsakh have self-determined. In the imposed war, they secured their rights to their territories, where the Armenian refugees, former citizens of Azerbaijan, will move. Victory on the battlefield cannot be erased at the negotiating table, and if it can, then this is a dangerous precedent. The arbitral award of the US President Woodrow Wilson on the borders of Turkey and Armenia after the First World War cannot be erased either. The fate of Karabakh was also decided there. Turkey and Armenia agreed to accept the border arbitration of the US President. This was prevented by the change of power in Turkey and the Sovietization of Armenia. However, the decision is binding on the parties and has no expiration date. But it has not been implemented for as many as 100 years, which will be celebrated in exactly 1 month, which is also a kind of challenge to the Americans, like we're not a tribal state, we're Turkey. Hitlerite Germany was punished for the crimes committed, for unleashing war, ethnic cleansing and genocide. And why are Turkey and Aliyev's Azerbaijan better than Hitler's Germany? Will they not be punished for cruel crimes against citizens and humanity? P.S. Macron was the first to fall into Erdogan's trap. A teacher was murdered on a religious basis in the French metro by decapitation. Erdogan sharpened the situation with his reaction to Macron's reaction, and he presented his geopolitical confrontation with France as religious, unleashing an avalanche of criticism of Muslims around the world on Macron. He has slightly showed his weapon in action, but later about that.